China helping Russia's war with Ukraine with military aid? Violating sanctions? Reports show.
Here's a summary of the article.
China is providing military aid to Russia in violation of US-led sanctions placed by Western countries, according to Russian trade data reported by The Wall Street Journal, as tensions build between the US and Western countries and China, amid a spy balloon scandal and a cancelled Beijing visit by Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russia has enough technical potential for its special military option, although that potential, he said, is constantly being improved, the journal reported. Moscow and its affluent oligarchs have been dealt heavy economic sanctions from Western Europe and North America since it invaded Ukraine nearly 1 year ago, with businesses pulling out of Russia and Western countries alienating themselves from the Kremlin. President Biden has also expressed concerns about Chinese companies supplying military equipment to Russia, Bloomberg reported, after White House officials reportedly found evidence suggesting Beijing was supporting Russia's military effort. China, which has been boosting imports of Russian oil even as Western Europe moves to close itself off from Russian energy exports, had declared a friendship with no limits with Russia last February, before the start of the war. Although Russia has been hard-pressed to find military aid, it has also found an ally in the Wagner Group, a group of mercenaries that Russian officials had repeatedly asserted they had no connection with. U.S. officials claim the group has recruited more than 50,000 people, including 40,000 Russian convicts, to fight in Ukraine. U.S. officials have also accused it of supplying military aid to Moscow last March, and last month, the U.S. Department of Treasury last month designated the Wagner Group a transnational criminal organization.
This post received a score of 8,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I think the US's long game in Ukraine is to get China to sink themselves. They lose a lot of face by doing this, and all their trading partners are aware.
And here I'm thinking China is hoping we burn all our arms reserves in Ukraine, making an invasion of Taiwan less risky.
Ukraine is ground war, Taiwan is naval operation, those weapons are not the same.
Plus this is America. We have plenty of arms. Edit, I think he might have a point.
I have bare arms ready to go.
Upgraded to my bare arms yesterday. Soon I'll get a Sandwistan implant by Wig the Ripper Dog, but I have to hit LVL 15 reflexes.
Gotta have some Novatech tune if you want to go toe-to-toe with some Saka ninjas. Am I wrong in my understanding that China didn't participate in the sanctions in the first place? Why would they have to abide by them?
You are correct. Unless we designate Russia a terror state, then we can't force others to stop doing business with Russia. Even if we declared Russia a terrorist state, all we would be able to do is sanction anyone who still does business with Russia.
No, it needs to go through the UNSC. Outside of that it's impossible. All other sanctions would only be from nations to nations and not truly international law. Russia has a veto right, so that's impossible.
Now it is time to sanction China.
In practical terms, I wonder if this is even possible. Regardless, US could start sanctioning individual companies and try cutting off Hydra's heads one at a time.
Realistically, it's not. The US and China are so dependent on each other that to sanction them would throw ourselves into economic turmoil. The White House will have to get creative in punishing China here.
It'll probably be a gradual decoupling. Xi is showing that trade or his people's comfort won't stop him being aggressive. People have bet that trade prevents conflict in the past, but it just isn't so. World War I is just one example where the world's biggest trading relationship can go straight to blockade. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
The decoupling has already started. It's for the best.
So let me get this straight. China is violating sanctions that they didn't take a part of? Whoever did that report should be fired.
Secondary sanctions are a real threat to Chinese government, so we'll see how the US responds to this report.
Another great piece of journalism by a Murdoch outlet.
Zero details. Didn't even try to dig.
Describes what was shipped by the Chinese conglomerate subsidiary Polytechnologies, laboratory equipment parts to the Russian defense company Alma-Ante.
Poly Technologies' shipments to Alma-Ante included at least 16 shipments of clystrons, which are used to make long-range radar transmitters with dual-use applications. Poly Aviation Technologies originally imported the component parts from Russian military weapons manufacturer Sarapul Power Generating Plant before re-exporting them to ATC Zvezda in November 2019. Exported laboratory equipment and machinery to the aforementioned Russian defense company Kazan Giprania Viaprom. Poly Technologies reportedly sent almost identical shipments of vibration system shipments to Kazan Giprania Viaprom prior to 2014. It looks like Poly Technologies ships to many countries and have been sanctioned twice by the US so far. First in 2013, the US imposed a 2-year sanction on Poly Technologies for shipping equipment, technology that violates the Iran, North Korea, and Syria Non-Proliferation Act. Then in January 2022, the US imposed another 2-year sanction on Poly Technologies for contributed to the design, development, or production of missiles in a controlled country.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.